Hi, I'm Andrew Patterson from interest.co.nz. Welcome to another in our Business Success series. With me, Chris Harris, co-founder and managing director at Kaiparasoft. Hi there, Chris.
G'day.
So, Chris, tell us a little about Kaiparasoft. Not a business that many people will have heard, but they might have heard about your game, of course. So, the origins of it and where the idea to start it came from.
Okay, so we started the business, my brother and I, about 6 years ago. He called me up one day and basically started a conversation about wanting to get into some sort of a business on the web. And we kicked around a couple of ideas and we settled on games, partly because he had recently graduated the first media design school postgraduate diploma in game design. And he was working at Saatchi & Saatchi at the time. So that seemed like a natural fit, and we had an idea that we thought would work, which eventually didn't. But there were a few ideas we were kicking around, so which is why the website is ninjakiwi.com, but the company name is Kaiparasoft, because we were still trying out a few different things. The reality is the company will probably be called Ninja Kiwi at some point. But yeah, we had the idea was we were making Flash web-based games, and we knew that if we made games and sort of released original content on the site with a reasonable regularity, that we would be able to grow traffic. And we did some slightly sort of optimistic and naive projections about how traffic would grow. Pretty much get a ruler on a page and say, well, if this is what we do, then this is where we'll be. So we put a line in the sand, which was, in 2 years' time we could be doing this full time. And things went better than expected, and we were pretty much full time in the business after about 6 months. And from there we had a big success with a game called Bloons, which we then ported to iPhone, with the help of some guys in Scotland, a company called Digital Goldfish that contacted us and said, listen, we'll do this port for you. You basically split the revenue with us, and that way we do all the Object-C programming and you guys continue making stuff in Flash. And we thought that was fine. I mean, we've always been very sort of focused on where we wanted to spend our sort of people resource, if you like, and our expertise at that point was Flash, and we wanted to continue growing the website, and so that made sense at that point for them to do that, and they did really well with that. The game did really well. I think Bloons got to number 2 paid apps in the US store. This is a few years ago now, so not quite as big a deal as they are now. But because they did a really good job of it, and they clearly cared about our games, we continued that relationship, and they continued developing our Bloons and Bloons TD games. So over the years we've grown to, there's 20 of us now in our Kumu-based office, and we're all doing various things: game design, game artists, programmers, web developers, and in the beginning of November, we acquired Digital Goldfish, the Scottish guys, so they're now also part of Ninja Kiwi. So there's 20 of us here and there's 15 of us over in Dundee.
And what then is the essence of a successful game? This is a big business, isn't it? And perhaps not so big within New Zealand, but globally it's huge and massive competition. So what's the essence of a successful game?
A successful game is... One of the nice things about the games business is a successful game is usually a game that is made to be successful by the fans. It's just you can't. I mean, it's like any other aspect of the entertainment industry. If you take a completely original film or movie idea and you try and make it into a movie and you get it released, I mean, we all know that you can have a blockbuster that completely flops, and despite the best efforts of maybe a talented director or talented cast. And the same elements are really in game design. You make your best effort to what you think is an original idea that people will enjoy, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it is a huge industry, and it's growing very quickly. It's I mean, the web and mobile gaming that stuff is all sort of coming together, where entertainment sort of as a whole is being consumed more and more in mobile form, but also across both platforms, both on people's PCs and on their phones as well. And as those entertainment industries sort of converge a little bit, if you like, because you've already got big studios like Walt Disney, they're making mobile games as well, and Electronic Arts. I mean, these guys that made massive muscle, that made big console games, they're all starting to put energy into mobile gaming as well. And this is just where entertainment is going. It's there's more and more crossovers. You see big movie IPs being sort of reskinned onto popular mobile games. It's quite a natural thing, really. But the entertainment industry is sort of really pushing that growth in games.
The demographic most people would think of when they think of gaming is young teenage males, but it's much broader than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the largest, the average age of a gamer is over 30, and there's a lot of guys in their 30s that are playing, and there's a lot of women in their 30s and 40s that are playing too. And it's part of what has happened in the last few years is the concept of what a gamer has become a little fuzzier. I mean, if you ask someone 10 years ago what a video gamer was, they would imagine somebody sitting at home in front of a TV with a controller and playing a shooter game or something like that. But it's surprising when you ask people if they play games. A lot of people, especially a lot of older people, say no, they don't. And then you ask them if they've ever played Tetris or something like that, and they go, "Oh yes, but that doesn't really count." Well, it does, and those are massive brands, and they make their owners a lot of money.
And Angry Birds is probably the most successful recent example, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they've done amazing things with that IP. The original game itself was actually someone else's idea that they took from a Flash game, and they did a clever sort of a reskin of it. They added characters, but I mean they basically saw something they thought was a good idea that they could maybe do differently, or make it look different at least, and they've made it into a tremendously successful business.
In fact, it's almost become the biggest thing for Finland since Nokia, and it's spawned a whole new industry which has kind of grown out of it as well too.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's in the water over there, but there's two really big, really successful Finnish game studios now. So there's Rovio, the Angry Birds guys, and there's Supercell that do a couple of other mobile games that are making tremendous money for them as well. Yeah.
So could you see New Zealand potentially going down that path?
Well, there's no reason why not. It's I'm not sure if there's any legislative benefits or anything that game studios get in other countries that we don't get here.
Unlike Hollywood, perhaps.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is if you're making a game. For example, the top grossing games in the iPhone store, they're making. I mean, those game studios, they're making $300,000-$400,000 a day US. I mean, this is the top grossing games. The free ones where you get prompted to take out your wallet and I mean, they're making so much money per user that the cost of the revenue that those companies are making per head of employee is got to be astronomical. And so it's less about what the environment is in somewhere like Finland or maybe in Silicon Valley or whatever. It's less about what there is special there that we don't have here. It's more just about I suppose it's there's got to be a certain gravity. You've got to have a certain critical mass of a market, and when I say market, I mean like an employment market of bright young minds that are getting involved in doing this sort of thing. And I don't know what there is in Finland, but certainly there's a lot of startups, and there's a high concentration of bright young minds somewhere like in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, the Bay Area, that sort of thing. And So it's probably easier for a startup there to pull together the people they need to make an interesting project succeed, but it absolutely doesn't. I wouldn't say it's restrictive for anybody anywhere else. I mean, you've got places like, one of the things that the web has done and what mobile gaming is doing to the world is it's a true leveler. I mean, there's no reason why somebody who is from a country like, for example, Moldova, where the monthly average income is sort of $100 US or something like that. Somebody there could easily be making 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 a year from just developing games. There's no real restriction. It's just the creativity and the access to the technology, and that the access to the technology, as we know, is it's almost universal now. You could be from anywhere in the world, and you could have reasonably cheap access to the technology that you need to do these things.
But do you think in New Zealand it still suffers a bit of a credibility issue? Some kid comes home and says to their parents, "I want to be a games designer. That's what my career is going to be focused on." Yeah,
I think in a way that's a big disadvantage that the first world has, is that the parents of teenagers have certain ideas about what is the right thing to do with your life. If I've got a son who's 20 years old and he's halfway through a degree or something, and he says, I want to stop this, I want to go and make games for a living, or I want to do something else in that sort of high tech space, computer engineering or something. It's because parents don't know what it's about. It's more difficult. It might almost seem akin to, I'm going to throw this away and I'm going to become a country western singer or something. It's so completely foreign. Whereas places where less developed economies, it's just about getting ahead. So your parents would be, just do whatever you can to get ahead. You may not have access to universities and the education, but if I'm 12-year-old in Mumbai who has access to a computer, I might be making games, I might be building websites for somebody in America, and your parents are just going to say, well, that's fantastic, making all this money's coming in, and it's good hard currency. So I think there's a little bit of a gap. There's a sort of an information lag where there's the acceptance in one part of the world against the other, and it's not universal yet. It's not universally accepted that this is necessarily a viable career, where it certainly is.
Just explain the business model, because there's a couple of revenue models here that the different businesses operate. Maybe from your own experience, how do you operate within Kaiparasoft from that perspective?
Well, I think we've always been focused on growing revenue so that we could grow the company, and that's not the only way that technology companies work. There are some companies that focus on absolute user growth above everything else. So they do whatever they can to grow the user base to a certain massive size, and then they try and work out what to do next in terms of revenue. Twitter is a great example. Completely unprofitable for several years, but growing tremendously. And so you build value through the user reach, whereas we've always been about growing revenue so that we can do the next thing we want to do. And part of that, I think, is because of the reasonably conservative nature financially of both my brother Stephen and myself. Was we didn't want to not be able to comfortably afford to pay the next employee for as long as it took. I don't want to hire somebody with the idea that maybe I'm going to have to let them go in 12 months or something like that. I hire somebody because I absolutely know that we can afford to pay them. So we've got several different streams of revenue. We have the ninjakiwi.com site, which we have advertising on the site. So you basically go there and you play the games for free. But then within some of those games, there is the ability to purchase extra items to sort of enhance the game experience. They're not pay-to-win type things, but it's just things that make the game experience a little bit different, maybe a little bit better. And then we have the mobile gaming side, which is a combination of free apps, which are monetized through purchase of in-game currency and that type of thing. And then there's the apps which we sell, and they're also enhanced by extra things that you can pay for if you want to. But I mean, the value in mobile gaming is extraordinary, and also people's value expectations is pretty amazing as well. I mean, you could spend, our Bloons TD5 game, from the beginning of the development of the web game through to where we are now with the mobile game, we're working through the Android port now, and we're looking at further updates and so on through next year. There's probably been 8 man-years of work in it so far, and you still get comments from people saying, why should I pay for this, it's free on the website. And it's amazing, because at the same time you're getting comments from people saying, I bought Assassin's Creed 2 and I'm playing your game, that game cost me $60, yours cost me $3, why is that? So there is a weird sort of state of flux in terms of pricing and price expectations in the gaming market too.
Because it's truly global. It's just phenomenal. You can run this from New Zealand, and it's played by people all over the world, and the numbers are extraordinary. One of your games has been played by the equivalent of the entire population of China.
Yeah. It's the reach of gaming is extraordinary, and the sort of internationalization of it is really great. I mean, we have a reasonably small presence in New Zealand, just because there's not much population here, and most of our fans and players are in the US, Canada, UK, Germany, and that's really neat. I mean, when you're chatting to people in our forums and stuff, and there's people from all over the world that have been playing your stuff for the last few years, it's really cool.
And just finally, I imagine when you went through school, there wasn't a lot of encouragement and a lot of existence in the game space. So what should schools, for instance, be doing now to encourage youngsters who are showing, that creativity bent and an interest in computers, and hooking that together to achieve some growth for the whole industry within New Zealand?
I think the tough thing for schools and technology is that you really need teachers that are really, really passionately into it. Like, you need it if you're going to have someone teaching computer science or something, that person needs to be so deeply in love with the industry, because otherwise you just end up with information that's too old, and you certainly don't want to end up in a situation where you're boring the kids because you're telling them about stuff that they might have even read about it 3 weeks ago and they think it's old hat. I mean, stuff is moving so quickly. So I think schools probably need to be encouraging sort of the curiosity and being a little. I don't really know how things work anymore, but it's about allowing kids the freedom to probably self-direct a lot of those technology-based projects. That's really where the success will come, is sort of guidance and support and programming assistance. Like, if you're wanting to learn a programming language or something like that, then that's pretty important. I mean, I've read some stuff recently that said that it's going to become almost essential for just about everybody to know how to program some basic PHP or something like that in the next 10 years. And it's, I can't even do that myself, but I really want my kids to be able to program, whether or not they end up as computer programmers or not. It's I think we're certainly moving quickly to a society where you basically have a big leg up if you can do that, and a big disadvantage if you can't. Yeah. So
Chris, a business that is really reflecting the future potential for New Zealand, the sort of area we could be heading to as a country, maybe games could be as big as Fonterra in the future. Entirely possible. And you could be another one of them. Well, it depends on how long the energy lasts.